Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is video number 29. I was asked this question as to why some people who are super ambitious are never satisfied. And that made me think, first and foremost, was that when I started as an intern, I was there as an intern in my previous company for a good 2 years. My MD, in fact, made fun of me. I remember stating that you are the longest serving intern in the history of this company, and this was a almost like a 120-150 year old company. And that is when used to be an intern, I used to just tell my friend that once I became a manager, I'll be super happy, super satisfied, and content. And I still remember making a phone call to her when I finally, after 2 years, I got the job and I got the designation of a manager directly from an intern. And I just told her that I got the position of a manager. That was the only day, probably for those 1.5 hour 2 hours, I was happy and content with that position. And immediately after that, from probably next day onwards, I don't really remember, but then during that period itself, I started aiming to become a general manager, and I started working towards it. I didn't really structurally start working towards it. I don't want to say that, and I don't want to give out that impression that I had it all figured out. I hadn't had it all figured out at all. I didn't know the next step or the next step or the next steps. So, but then, yes, the aim was to become the general manager. And I just started working, slogging. I got super lucky as well that I got these really good assignments and two very very good mentors who made my life and my path very easy. And within a year's time, I became a AGM, assistant general manager, in the same company. It was a double promotion, and more or less I got the position that I wanted. As soon as I got that position, I had literally made plans with a friend of mine that I'll be taking my family, I'll be hosting them a good dinner, XYZ, celebrate and all that. That dinner never happened because I didn't really feel anything. I just felt like, yes, I got a designation, I got this position, and then as kind of okay, let's aim for the next position. I got discontent. I got a bit derailed also on off track. My motivation came down. All that started to happen because I think I had outgrown the role, and the next role that was being offered to me, or rather that was not being offered to me, was something that I didn't want to be in. So hence the switch from that to associate director. And some associate director is something that I wanted to be right from the start. I used to always look up to my boss, who was AD at that time, associate director at that time, and I always looked up to that. And then as soon as I got this particular position, I was a little happy for, I would say, for a week or two. And then now I aim to, the aim was to cross a mark that I've spoken about in the previous videos as well, of crossing a number which in terms of my target, which I had been trying for the past 3-4 years, and then finally I was able to achieve that last year. That really gave me some satisfaction and a feeling of, some, I felt really clean, kind of complete, I would say. Not complete, but then yes, I did feel clean on the inside, and that feeling lasted probably for a day or two. And now the next goal is to do something big, to achieve something bigger. So that really brings me and you to that question as to why and how this kind of feelings or these kind of thoughts they come. And why is it that some people, in our circle itself, you might be having some people who are super happy all the time, super content. There are a couple of friends of mine who are happy with traveling. They're going to for a safari and going for a travel, going for a Europe vacation, and they are super happy with where their life is. Whereas me, and there might be a couple others as well in the group who are never content with what they have. At times I just feel, is it is it a curse, or is it uh, some people probably are born with that kind of a DNA, or born with that kind of a thought process, or is it an anomaly in us, in the thinking itself, that we are not able to really live in the moment and always be thinking about what next. At times I do also feel that somewhere deep in our consciousness there is a thought that has been fed in, probably by a superpower, a power that is higher than us, that has fed it into our DNA or into our deep, deep consciousness, that place of belonging where you are finally able to go and finally able to end your life, is what I feel at times. And if you're not in that position, or if you're not in that place, is when you are not content with yourself. You need to be one with yourself. And honestly, I haven't felt it yet. I haven't felt one with myself. I haven't felt it even when I'm in certain places wherein I feel, do I even belong here? But then my goals and my targets are even higher than that. Although I do already feel small in those places. But then I just feel, on the other hand, that probably my place is even higher than these meetings or these interactions that I'm currently attending. I think the lesson here for all of us would be that I think there is a power, there is something that has been fed in to our system. If you are constantly getting that kind of a feeling, if this is not just a passing thought, if you're getting this on a daily basis, like Steve Jobs has, I believe Steve Jobs has put it across really well, that if you're constantly, when you wake up and you're not content with your job, I think you're made for something else. I'm just paraphrasing this, but then he said it something on the same lines as well, which now I kind of makes sense to me. So we shouldn't be too discontent or unhappy with ourselves, or think that we are greedy, or we are not content with what we have, or we are not happy with what we have. Yes, we are happy with what we have, but then something in the DNA wants more. And probably if you're able to, if ever we were in that position where we finally belong, if we finally reach that position where we belong, then probably we will have that feeling of oneness with ourselves. Then that vacuum that you constantly feel on the inside, which causes that unhappiness, which causes that discomfort, would probably go. So that would be the food for thought, I believe, for all of us for today. And I would like to end the video on that note. This is First Principles. My name is Zaid, and thank you for tuning in.